In 1996, police discovered the remains of some 20 humans at the Carmel home of Save-A-Lot clothing chain store owner Herb Baumeister. Baumeister fled to Canada where he shot himself. So ended Herb Baumeister. Real estate, however, is not so easily disposed of. Baumeister's estate, worth millions, with its indoor swimming pool, 18 rolling acres, is what realtors refer to as a psychologically affected property. Rob and Vicky Gray gave the Star access and a tour of their home overnight.
We're in the pool room, which is in the basement of the house. This is an area where the police believe that most of the killings took place. Herb would lure the guys here with a promise of the indoor pool, and then they would participate in what's known as this erotic asphyxia, where they would take turns choking each other during some kind of sexual activity, and at some point Herb was choking them to death. And when the police initially got here, after this all kind of broke loose, this room had mannequins in it in various poses. The area that's been sort of a hot spot for paranormal activity in the house is the pump room, which is down here on the left. It seems to be an area that's very active paranormally. One of the psychics said that she felt that Herb had kept maybe a body in here until it was maybe more convenient to take him outside. We're in the basement of the house. It's being remodeled, so that's why it looks the way it does. But this is an area where the police have theorized where Herb killed most of his victims. Herb was a prolific videographer, apparently, and the police told me they believe this is where he had a hidden video camera, and the theory is that he might have videotaped some of the killings. There's an area right here in a ventilation vent that they believe a camera was placed. When he fled to Canada after the news that the bones were found here on the property, a Canadian mounted police had stopped him the night before because he had stopped to sleep under a bridge, and she had shown a light in the back of the car, and the back seat of the car was full of videotapes. When our police from Hamilton County got up there, the car was empty. This is our library in the house. We keep, of course, books in a library. This is my medical book collection. Over the years, about the last 30 or so years, I've done autopsies as sort of a side career. The mulch pile is in this area here. All of the intact bones, the stuff that we would easily recognizable as human, were found in this mulch pile and on the other side of the fence and in the creek. This is the area where the burn pile was, right in this area here, and this is where the anthropology team had found most of the small bone fragments, over 5,000 bones and bone fragments in this area here. So the killer would, after his son found a skeleton which was just to the left of this tree, that's where his son found a complete skeleton, the killer decided to start picking up the bones off the ground, and he started burning them in this area right here. Over time, the drains from the house all drained down this way, and bones were found all scattered throughout this area here. Joe, my renter, was walking his dog about 2 years ago this month and found a bone in this area right here. And of course we turned it over to the anthropologist, and it was determined to be a left femur.
And it was very bright ivory color. It wasn't like a regular dead stick on the ground. I picked it up. I thought, well, what animal chewed that up? And I felt very, very heavy. It was much heavier than a stick. At that point I knew it was a bone. This long. I felt good that we found it because it could potentially help identify one of the victims here.
At the base of this tree, the anthropologist found a lot of bones and bone fragments that had washed down from the hill, from the drains from the gutters. And at the base of this tree they had become lodged. Right after we moved in this area, we found a lot of bleach bottles. We found Vicks Vapor Rub. So the theory is that the killer was putting bleach on these bodies to keep the odors down, probably using Vicks Vapor Rub under his nose to deal with the smell of decomposition. This is my bathroom in the master bathroom, and this is an area in the house where the psychics have told me that the spirits come and go through this area. This is an area where Vicki, my wife, doesn't like to go.
Well, I think that there are probably a lot of people that lost their lives here that have never been identified. And I'm sure they have family members that are still looking for them. Perhaps they had no idea what happened to them. And if what we're doing here can put any kind of positive spin on that and help the families of these young men, that would be wonderful. And if any of the victims' families ever wanted to come to the property, and I know that would be extremely difficult, but if they ever did, we would want them to know that they're welcome to do that if it could help them in any way. You know, it is a big decision when you know the history of a home like this to think about if you would actually want to live there. But once we saw the house and saw how beautiful it was, you know, it really made the decision easy.
We decided we probably shouldn't put our name on the mailbox. Our last name being Graves might draw some unwanted attention,
But then we thought, well, you know, who else could buy a house like this, you know, with a name like that, you know, where else are you going to live?